I got into running, I was actually a softball player, so my parents made me do something in the fall when I was in middle school, and cross country happened to be one of the only non-cut sports, so I ended up running and ended up not going out for softball in the spring, and it's kind of just the rest is history.
I started wrestling because my brother um, was doing it, and so I thought it would be cool. And I actually thought it was like some WWE stuff, but it wasn't.
I was always trying out different sports and everything, and I played basketball for a long time, but I realized I wasn't very good at basketball. I was just fast on the court. So I decided to, see how track would go since, speed was my only real, component that I was good at. So I tried that, and it was pretty good.
I started swimming when I was about 7 years old, and I have a twin sister. She's on the cross-country team here, and we both swam together, both super competitive, and we both started swimming together until eventually I kept with swimming and she stuck with the running route.
It's important to use your voice as a student athlete because there are people in the community that look up to you. Whether we know it or not, there are kids that live in the Lansing area that look up to a lot of the track and cross-country athletes. They look up to the football players. They look up to the basketball players. And just to hear or even see what we're doing in the community, in our community as a university, can make all the difference for somebody else to want to step forward when their time comes.
I think ultimately just to make the world a better place. I think that being a part of DLC, that's one of the things that we always discuss. We just talk about ideas, how to make things easier for everybody and bring people together and not separate us.
Diversity Leadership Committee. So we are in charge of trying to bring together a diverse group of people, which as student athletes, there's a large pool to pick from, and also as a university, there's a large pool to pick from.
It's also not just for minorities. It's diversity among all people, so it's not just for a certain type of student athlete.
And we all just get together, we talk, sometimes we just chat about our days, sometimes we talk about experiences we've had, and we like to plan diversity meetings or movie nights. We like to kind of plan those types of events.
And we discuss important topics that we feel need to be discussed. And sometimes that's all that it is. It's just a discussion. And sometimes it's a discussion followed up by how can we make this better? How can we make a change? And that's really what the DLC does.
Where do you guys think we are right now in terms of society, in terms of how we deal with race?
Yeah, that's a tough question, I think, personally. And I think there's a lot of different answers to. And I think a lot of it depends on going back to what we're saying, like your perspective, because there's so many different views you can look at, and a lot of them are like, "Hey, we're really good. We're pushing for a lot of change," and then there's others where it's like, "Yeah, we're stagnant, not really moving at all. It's still just as much of a problem as it was, 50, 60, 70 years ago."
My perspective, I feel like it's one step forward, a couple steps back, not all the time, but sometimes. So that gets a little bit frustrating. But I mean, at least we're taking some steps forward, because I feel like before we were taking none.
I still don't think in society we're allowed to still get to fully express ourselves. And, for example, I guess, maybe if I was seen playing rap music, I think just a stereotype would just be me being a gangster or just, a thug. But I think after those kind of disappear, then we'll start seeing change.
Getting involved with the DLC, I think, is extremely important because I saw that it was giving minorities a voice, or minority student athletes in particular, a voice to kind of talk about things that they're passionate in and what they go through. And I saw how open and receptive people were to either hearing what other student athletes go through, or, how comfortable student athletes became in sharing their stories. And that was something that really stuck out to me, because sometimes that's not very easy to do.
Yeah, it's difficult, but I think it's extremely important. And the fact that DLC gives people the space to do that, I think there's people who are there's some people who aren't willing to do it, but the important thing is to get the people who are willing to do it to come out and speak.
And people are still going through a lot of hardships. So just knowing that and listening to other people's stories is the first step. And I think the more people that get involved in these types of diversity and leadership committees and they really listen, I think that's how change begins.
When I was in high school, I remember we were having this conversation, and I didn't mean harm, but I said some things that offended some people in a very, very bad way. I know some people don't care about if they offend people or what they say, but I cared, and the reason why was because I cared about that person, and I didn't want to see them hurt. But yeah, that experience changed me. I remember like I couldn't like shake that feeling. I went and apologized to that person. I've tried my hardest to just listen to people and pay attention to what they're saying and not just like put my words out there without even thinking.
I know what it feels like to feel like you don't belong, and I hate that feeling, and I hate that other people have that feeling. That's why it's important to me, is I don't want anyone to ever feel like they don't belong.
This stuff is happening now, and it's happening here at Michigan State, and I think it's important that Michigan State athletics and us student athletes do the best we can to just eliminate these negative experiences from happening here.
My involvement with the DLC has shown me the voice that I have and the power that it holds. My freshman year, when I first started out, I kind of was in the background and I didn't really say much. I was a very quiet individual, but now I am not one to hesitate when it comes to issues, especially issues that I'm very, very passionate about. And the DLC has just kind of helped give me a platform and shown me that my voice really does matter and what I have to say does matter.
Being able to speak up and say how I feel as an athlete allows me to grow as a person and learn how to reach people in ways that I didn't think of. You know, just like when I wrestle with my teammates, we make each other better just from wrestling each other, and that makes me feel good because I know I made somebody better that day. I didn't just make myself better.
I think it's extremely important to get to a point where everybody is kind of comfortable sharing what they're going through, because I think that all voices are valid, all experiences are valid, and sometimes we walk on eggshells when it comes to certain situations, and I just think that if we can get to a point where everybody is able to express who they really are and not have to hide or shy away from different aspects, then that'll just make everything so much better.
I think the goal with the DLC is just to build a sense of community. We know that change isn't going to happen overnight, but if we can get people to come to a meeting and discuss things that are bothering them, because they might not always have an outlet, is really what the goal is to make sure that everybody is feeling safe and comfortable and that they have a safe space to go and talk to people about things that might be difficult to talk about. I think we obviously have other goals in mind that we want to change certain aspects about the university and the athletic department, but baby steps.